The lights had barely faded over the dramatic opening weekend of the Australian Grand Prix when a moment of humour, and perhaps a hint of rivalry, began rippling through the Formula One paddock. At the centre of it all stood George Russell, the confident new leader of the championship battle, fresh from a commanding performance that had sent a powerful message to the rest of the grid. But it wasn't just his victory that captured attention. It was what he planned to say to Lewis Hamilton. The weekend in Melbourne had belonged entirely to Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team. From the first laps of qualifying to the final roar of engines on race day, the Silver Arrows delivered a near-perfect display of dominance. Russell and rising star Kimi Antonelli locked out the front row during qualifying, a stunning statement that sent a shockwave through their rivals. Then, on race day, they sealed the performance with ruthless efficiency, crossing the finish line in a resounding 1-2 formation. It was the kind of result that announces a team's return to power. Yet the weekend was not entirely without drama. Antonelli's campaign nearly unraveled when the young Italian suffered a violent crash during the third practice session. For a tense moment, Mercedes feared their dream weekend might collapse before it had even begun. But in a remarkable display of determination, the team rebuilt the car in time for qualifying. Then came race day, and another twist. As the lights went out at the iconic Albert Park circuit, Russell briefly lost the lead to Ferrari challenger Charles Leclerc. For a few breathless laps, it seemed the race might erupt into a fierce battle. Instead, Mercedes calmly regained control. By the time the checkered flag waved, Russell stood atop the podium while Antonelli secured second place behind him. The message was unmistakable: Mercedes had returned to the front of the grid with frightening authority. Much of the discussion afterward centered on the team's formidable power unit, an engineering marvel rumored to include an innovative approach involving the engine's geometric compression ratio. The result is an extraordinary combination of raw power and relentless efficiency. And that has not gone unnoticed. In fact, Russell suspects that during the long flight back to Europe, he may hear a few complaints about it from Hamilton, who now races for Scuderia Ferrari. The two British drivers are scheduled to travel together back to Monaco following the race, a journey that could produce some amusing conversation. Speaking after the Grand Prix in an interview with Viaplay, Russell was asked how he planned to celebrate his impressive victory. His answer was delivered with a grin. "I'm flying with Lewis," Russell joked. "So I'm sure I'm going to hear something like, 'Your engine is so good, your compression ratio must be illegal,' this and that." He paused, clearly amused by the scenario playing out in his mind. "So I'll probably just try to get to sleep early," he added. "But before that I'll say, shut up and focus on your own stuff." The comment was playful, but it perfectly captured the tension simmering beneath the surface of Formula One's newest rivalry. Hamilton, despite finishing behind the dominant Mercedes machines, refused to sound discouraged after the race. The seven-time world champion acknowledged the gap but insisted Ferrari's fight is only beginning. "We've got a lot of work to do to catch Mercedes," he admitted in an interview with Sky Sports. "But it's not impossible." For Hamilton, the challenge ahead is clear. "We've got to keep pushing," he said. "Keep digging deep. And I'll keep pushing until the next race. That next battle will come soon." The championship now moves toward the next dramatic chapter of the season, where Mercedes will attempt to extend their advantage, and Ferrari will try to prove that Melbourne was only the opening act. And somewhere on a long flight across continents, two of Formula One's fiercest competitors may already be trading jokes, suspicions, and quiet determination. Because in this sport, even laughter can hide the sparks of a coming storm.